Christ enters the system, not symbolically, not metaphorically, mechanically. Here's the first thing that matters. Jesus Christ does not enter creation at the top. He doesn't arrive as a king demanding compliance. He doesn't show up as raw divinity overwhelming the board. He enters at the human level, fully human, fully inside the constraints, fully subject to hunger, fear, pain, misunderstanding, betrayal, and death. Why? Because the problem isn't just up there. The fracture runs all the way down. So Christ enters where the damage actually touches human souls. Now here's where the model sharpens. Christ doesn't just live a good life and then die as an example. That wouldn't fix anything. What he does instead is traverse the entire vertical structure of the system. He comes down into embodiment. He descends into suffering. He descends into death. And then, and this part matters, he goes all the way down to the lowest domain of separation. Call it dominion. Call it the grave. Call it the realm of death. Whatever language you use, it represents the furthest possible distance from life, coherence and alignment. Christ goes there without inversion. No distortion, no rebellion, no misalignment. That's unprecedented. Every other being that goes down there arrives fractured. Christ arrives intact. This is the moment most models gloss over, and they shouldn't. Because what Christ does by descending fully is occupy every layer of the system without breaking alignment. There is now no depth of human loss, guilt, failure, or death that he has not personally touched. Which means there is no place a human soul can fall that Christ has not already been. And then, this is the critical move, he reverses direction, not by escaping, not by bypassing, but by ascending through the same structure. Death does not hold him. Corruption does not claim him. Inversion cannot latch onto him. So when he rises, he doesn't just rise out, he rises through. And in doing so, he creates something that did not exist before, a continuous, coherent pathway from the lowest point back to God. Not advice, not instructions, a path. Now let's talk about the sacrifice, because this is where people either trivialize it or misunderstand it. Christ's sacrifice is not powerful because it's painful. Pain alone doesn't redeem anything. It's powerful because Christ is perfectly aligned. No inversion, no misvaluation, no corruption. So when he offers himself, what's being offered is not a finite moral act. It's infinite coherence entering a broken accounting system. That matters, because sin is not just bad behavior. In this model, sin is misalignment, debt, fracture, distortion. And here's the key. You don't cancel debt by balancing it with more debt. You cancel it by introducing something of greater value. Christ's perfection is not just slightly better than our failure. It's infinite relative to it. So when a human soul aligns itself with Christ, not imitates, not earns, but joins, the imbalance collapses, not gradually, not symbolically, immediately. The system can't hold sin in the presence of infinite alignment any more than darkness can survive direct light. That's why forgiveness isn't fragile. That's why grace isn't barely enough. That's why salvation isn't a tightrope. It's not about God deciding to ignore your failure. It's about your failure being overwhelmed by something greater. And here's the final piece that makes this whole model coherent. Christ doesn't just fix the past. He realigns the soul going forward. Because now, when a human soul lives in an inverted world, it's not standing alone. It is anchored. The Spirit applies Christ's alignment. The pathway remains open. The soul is no longer trying to outlast inversion by effort. It's participating in something already complete. That doesn't mean life suddenly becomes easy. It means it becomes coherent. Suffering still exists, choices still matter, the world is still misvalued, but the outcome is no longer in question. So the model ends here, not with theory, but with resolution. Christ enters the system, Christ traverses the full depth, Christ returns to the source. Christ creates the path, Christ's perfection cancels misalignment, Christ anchors the soul. That's not a metaphor. That's why Christianity works when nothing else does. If this clarified why Christ isn't just a teacher, but the answer, like and subscribe. This is where the system closes, where alignment is restored. Next, we'll do Q&A and address the toughest objections head on. Thank you for watching.